I'm Chris Robinson, and I've been lucky to live in Lochaber for most of my working life and retirement. I'm actually currently the president of the club, which is a great honour. And I've been the driver. I've been a very, very average curler. Although there are moments that stand out, moments of very brief moments of what you'd like to think of brilliance.
My name's Bill Gibbons, and I came to Fort William way back in 1965, I think, and I worked at the football. Now, how I came to be in Lochaber Curling Club, I'm not too sure. The camaraderie, that's what is attraction, and the competition.
I'm David McCallum. I joined, or I resisted joining Lochaber Curling Club for many years because I thought at that time, and very much mistakenly, I thought curling was an old man's game, and particularly because it was an old man that was trying to encourage me to join the curling club. I have been in the curling club since 1984, and I am currently the club secretary.
My name's Jo Cowan, and I came to join Lochaber Curling Club in 1986. I moved to Lochaber at the end of 1985 and was approached while doing a very short holiday job type thing in the tourist board by George McPherson, who was at that time, I think, the president or the secretary maybe of the curling club, and he had heard that I had curled when I was living over in Ranach and had come to claim me for Lochaber Curling Club, and I was 25 at that time, so it's one of the loveliest sports. And actually, when you're on the ice, you don't think about anything else. It's fabulous.
The Spian Bridge, was it the Spian Bridge Club? It was formerly Lochaber Curling Club.
I mean, what it looks to me as if when curling first started, they called themselves Lochaber Curling Club, but they happened to be and then
In Spian Bridge.
Well, they started off in Letterfinley, but they didn't constitute themselves until 1866, and they then called themselves Lochaber Club because there's a medal. That silver.
Yeah, that's right.
It's this one, which has got Lochaber Curling Club 1866 on it, and then, but it was based about Spian Bridge, and then when there was a fella Birrell in Fort William, in Spian Bridge, who was the best, probably the best curler, moved to Fort William, started a curling club at Fort William, and stole the name. They said. They were Lochaber bracket Fort William Curling Club, and in the minutes it still refers now and again to Fort William as opposed to Lochaber, but in recent times we've taken on Lochaber and all the other clubs have sort of melted away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've played in so many rinks ourselves, really, haven't
Well,
we?
that's probably a significant feature of the current club, where the number of ice rinks that we have
You want to rattle them off?
played at. Yeah, well, we played.
Inverness.
We started off in Inverness before my time. When I joined the club, we were curling in Aviemore. Aviemore closed in 1999. We then moved to Pitlochry and curled there for a number of seasons. We had occasions to curl weekend curling in Brora for a number of years, and we then moved to, when Pitlochry closed, we went to Braehead, and we're now curling in Green Acres, and apart from Green Acres, all the rest of the ice rinks are closed.
Apart from the formal curling indoors, I mean, originally there were no indoor curling, everything was outside. And if we look at the map of Lochaber and sort of start from the north downwards, there's multiple places. The first was in 1846, was a wheat pond above Letterfinley Inn as it then was, now the Whispering Pines, and there was a 1900 feet of ascent to go up to this wheat pond.
So how long has the Strathcona Cup been
1900.
contested?
1900, yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've no knowledge of any previous winners of Lochaber winning it previously.
No,
But for many years, George would get the letter in, the invite, to compete in the Strathcona Cup, and it got sidelined until 1992, when he was persuaded to accept the invitation. So from 1992 was when we first competed for it in the current era. And there's several references to different ranks winning it over the years.
Yeah, my particular memory of it is with Bill and David Mee at Lochaber, and we won it. I think we had a dram out of it at Lochaber, and then of course with George McFarlane, late George, the McFarlane cry is Sloy, which goes back to a wee loch at the head of Loch Sloy, and the water from Loch Sloy comes down these pipes, major hydro station, comes into Loch Lomond. So on the way back, we felt it was appropriate to scrabble through all the brambles and on the granite blocks down to the bottom of the pipes and get some real water from Loch Sloy. Is that right, Phil?
Yes, but what I can't remember was whether there was any whiskey to go with the water by that stage.
And whether we consumed it all, I'm not so sure.
Because I think we just drank the water out of the cup as I did.
Well, probably, yeah.
Additionally, there's been the added cost in damaged vehicles over the years travelling to Aviemore.
You damaged deer as well.
I recall one occasion going to Pitlochry when at least 2 vehicles were damaged in the snow.
There's some lovely friendships through curling, though, isn't there? You know, we've had some great times.
Yeah, talking about friendships, we struck up a friendship with Lundy and Ochterhouse Club from Dundee area, and the most recent occasion that we got together was November last year, when we joined them to have a belated 150th anniversary celebration.
We'd won a competition at Pitlochry. It must have been their closing bonspiel, I think. It was the last night at the ice rink anyway. And then they won a bottle of whiskey in the raffle.
George McFarlane.
And I was the driver. I was not drinking at all. And I got stopped at about 12:30, 1:45, going over Dromochter by the police, and pulled in. And I was driving Neil's car. And they were all, by this time, A, sound asleep, B, snoring, and C, stinking of whiskey. And it was a young policeman. I wound down the window, and the smell of whiskey must have absolutely bathed that poor young man. So he said, "Would you get out of the car, please?" And of course I became really, really nervous. And they're sound asleep. And they went round the car, what is the registration of your car? Hadn't a clue. Not even a Scooby. I said, I have no idea what the registration of this car is at all. And by this time the older policeman was sort of saying, "Oh, everything's fine here." And the young policeman said, no, there's something wrong with the lights or whatever. At which point the brave lads all woke up and thought they would start having a conversation with this young policeman and defending my honour and saying, "Oh, she's not had anything to drink, let her go," you know. So I didn't get breathalyzed, but that was my whiskey encounter with you guys. You were definitely one of them.
I do, yes.
Yeah. And we've sustained a friendship with the Brora crowd that we used to meet up in Brora as well. That's been really nice,
Yeah.
a very significant part of the club.
Yeah, so Brora has a fairly significant part to play in the history of the Lochaber Curling Club over the years.
I was working in the tourist office for a wee bit before Easter when I first arrived, and George McPherson marched in and told me there was a curling club. He'd heard I was a curler and that I should come along to the AGM because I'd be curling the next winter with you. He sort of just told me that because there was this moment in the club proceedings where they said, "Oh, now about subscriptions," and the president looked at me quite meaningfully and said, "You'll pay reduced fees because you're a lady." And at 25 years old and being very feisty, I didn't really like that idea at all. I'd always been a full member of my curling club, so I think I maybe voiced that to him, and I was told that, you know, they had ladies in
in Lochaber Curling Club. But I'm glad to see things have moved along, and I now pay the same subs as anyone else.
Absolutely.
But I was really, really chuffed to be the first female president of the club when we had our 140th anniversary, and that was really nice.